Hey everyone, my name is Joseph Anajar, and I'd like to thank you for watching this video that me and a couple buddies put together. Real quick, I'd like to thank them for their amazing work. John Arsenault was playing bass and he destroyed it, as well as Alexis Gagnon, who played drums and made it really hard for me to keep up. And so on this track, I was using a Fractal AxeFx patch that I made specifically for this recording that will be available for download. So yeah, here's me walking you through the AxeFx patch as well as explaining some of the techniques I use in the specific blocks. As you can see on the AxeEdit window, I'm using two amps. I'm using the Shiver Lead as well as the Shiver Clean, and I'm using two cabs. One of them is the ML Legends Flattest Mix, and then I have one of a Sir Veteran 30 cab, which I actually have right here. So I guess I'll start by walking you through the scenes and then I'll dive into the specific settings. So scene 1 is the Shiver Lead through the ML Legends cab, completely dry. Very dynamic amp. So here we go on to scene 2, and then the reverb and delay blocks go in. So yeah, it's very pleasant. It's not that much delay and reverb, but makes all the difference in the feel in terms of recording a lead. I have a really hard time recording leads completely dry, but I also tend to add more ambience in the DAW after the fact. Alright, so scene 3, we go back to completely dry, but we add the drive block, and the drive block is the BB Pre. Actually, I think Y is something else as well. Yes. Yeah, I also have an XY set up for the drive. Anyways, so the BB preamp, just to compare to scene 1. So it's a lot tighter. There's a lot less bloom. And the goal here was not necessarily to make it gentier, but it was to tighten up the low end as well as adding a little bit more gain for the sustain. So I get that compared to one is more bloomy and one is just like tighter and focused. And then scene 4 is same thing as scene 3, but with the ambience. You're gonna hear this chord a lot right now. I just lifted it, and I'm gonna play it like at least 10 more times in this video. Alright, so scene 5, we start switching to the Y configurations of a lot of these blocks. So now we are on the Shiver Clean amp. And as you can see, only the reverb is on. So it's not completely clean, it's like on the verge of breakup. A bit much on the neck pickup, although it could be kind of a lead. But I'm mostly using it for comping in the split positions. For this part. As well as some of the layers, the quiet layers. So scene 6, same tone but with the delay as well. There it is again. And then scene 7, we add the drive-in, but it's not the BB preamp, it is the T808 mod to add some of that spanky, papery, like almost fuzzy but not actually fuzzy. I'm playing a shot right now. Anyways, yeah, so we have the drive-in for this scene. It's more of a lead. It's quite a different feel than if we go to scene 2. No, scene 7. A difference I forgot to mention earlier is that since we've been on the other amp, we've also switched to the second cab. So now we're going through a Sir Veteran 30 IR, which is a 112. So the feel is a lot different than the 412 we were using before. You'll notice this one is going to be more open. And this one is like a bit more focused in the mid-range. I'm kind of visualizing it as taking up less space than the other one. But I don't know if smaller is the right word because it still sounds sick. And then scene 8, same thing, but we add the delay. Yeah, so it's a pretty straightforward patch. There's not a lot of stuff. There's a lot of room for you to add stuff if you wanted to. I'm not really heavy on the modulation stuff, so I kind of keep it bare in that regards, but I like my delays and I like my reverbs. But yeah, so let's dive in. My general philosophy with patch making in the AxeFx is I like them to sit pretty flat on the EQ spectrum with like having some nice pleasant space in the mid-range. You know, I don't like a too honky boxy tone, but that's also how I approach real live tones, so I just kind of mimic that. There's a lot of space in the mids here. You know, if I would boost... You know, if I boosted this or I boosted, you know, more bass, all of a sudden there's just like a mid-range that I'm just like I need to get out of there. I need less mid-range. It's not a scooped sound at all, but it's definitely way more open. That's the word. It's a more open sound. The EQ is as it is. I didn't want it to be too bright because I didn't want it to tear your ears off with the split positions. And as well as the bridge pickup. I really wanted to be able to use the bridge pickup nicely with this patch. Yeah, so I have the boost on, but I have the gain quite low. I was playing between both of them, and this is just what I ended up liking. I have the bright switch on, and the cut is not engaged. Something that's been new for me is I've been cutting frequencies in the preamp. So I'm cutting high frequencies and low frequencies on the preamp, and that's just emulating what a real amp would do. So that's been nice. I've been having less problems with my high end in my post-production. It's giving me a more realistic feel, I find. So as you can see, I'm not being very aggressive with any of these settings. I'm just being mindful of the small moves you can make within the AxeFx. The AxeFx is such a powerful tool that every little decibel move culminates to the big tone. The big tone. It's so late right now. I don't even know what I'm saying. Let's go to the cab now. So there's not much happening. I'm also cutting frequencies here. And a new thing for me again is I'm using some of this room level. I'm not using as much as some other people, but it's kind of a pleasant thing. So here's completely dry. And then here's 100%. So it's kind of like a weird reverb, but it's making it wider and feel like you're hearing the walls in the room. So it's a very subtle difference, but to me it's just making it feel better coming out of my monitors into my ears right now. Like it just feels like I'm getting more room response sitting here in my listening position, which is very pleasant, you know, being able to do that from a modeler. Let's briefly talk about my reverb and delay right now. So I'm running these in parallel to the signal, and to do that properly, you gotta make sure you select mute effect out. The other difference is that you run your mix at 100% and then you mess with your level instead of your mix. So I like really long reverbs, but at a low level. So I'm using the large cathedral effect type, which is just like very nice. I'll boost it in level right now. Very pleasant. I did, however, bring the time down a little bit because it was at 4.5 seconds on the default, and I thought that was a bit much, so I brought it down a little bit, and that just gives me this lush. Let's talk about the delay. So here I'm using the stereo tape. I have it pretty low. I'm doing the 75% ratio, so I get this dancing thing. And you know, it's a reasonable amount of delay. Let's talk about the drive a little bit. So something I've been doing for a while, which is really cool, is I'm dialing it up with a somewhat aggressive tone, but then dialing back the mix. Dial it to 100%, which is what it's supposed to be. That's like not what I'm looking for. It's too thick. I'm looking for something to tighten up my low end and to add more saturation. Compared to like scene 1. It's still a very open sound. It's just not as touch sensitive as scene 1. So here's scene 3 chord. And if I go to scene 1, you know, I can almost get away with it being clean. It's almost clean. So my approach to clean tones is I don't like really clean tones. I like clean tones that are so close to being on the verge of breakup that if I actually pick hard, like it goes there. Doesn't work for everything, but I like the way it compresses to the touch. I have the boost on, but the gain quite low again, even though it's on the clean channel of this. Oh, what am I doing? It's on the clean channel of this amp block, but I just, you know, played with the balance until I liked where it sat. So now let's talk about the drive block real quick that I put in this. So I switched it to the TS808 mod, and the reason for that was that I didn't want to lose that much low end when I turned on the drive. I wanted that fart, you know? It's like a low end fart. It's not tight. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not tight at all. And you know, these are my settings. I didn't go, there's not anything that special in there. I just got the drive tone and balance the way I wanted it in terms of the way it was hitting the front end of the amp, and that's kind of it, my guy. You can totally use your own IRs for this patch. You just go in and switch them to a 412 or anything else that you would want to use with this patch. You know, you do you, my guy. But I EQ'd these blocks, these amp blocks, while going through these specific IRs. So if you want to do exactly what I'm doing, I would recommend picking up these IRs for the very low price of an amount of money that's worth it to have sick tone. Real quick, if anybody's wondering, the guitar I'm using is a Sir Modern from 2017 maybe. I have some Thornbuckers in the bridge and neck and an ML in the bridge. Basswood maple neck, nothing too special. It sounds pretty good, you know what I'm saying? If you're curious about anything that I forgot to mention, make sure to hit up the comments. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Joseph_is_rad. Also, don't forget to hit up the amazing musicians I had on the track that played before this tutorial. Their Instagrams are here. Have fun having better tone than usual, bro. Yo, what time is it right now? Yo, it's fucking 2:15 in the morning, bro. What am I doing?